Hello, peeps, and welcome to Zwift Duathlon League, season number 3. A 35-minute TT bike, a 10-minute transition, followed by a 15-minute run. Get as far as you can in those distances. This is race number 3 of 6 and takes place in New York, with the bike course being on the Astoria Line 8 and the run course being on the Schumer Trail Loop. This should be a challenging course for me as I don't do well with the elevation changes, and this course has a lot of elevation changes. But I'll do my best to get through it with a good results and be ready for the run. I did something a little different for the start of this bike. Instead of doing like I normally do and logging in very early and being on the front of the line so that I can get right off the start and not have to worry about any interference, I decided I was going to start from the back and kind of ride my way through the field just to see how it differed from going off the front. Maybe would hold off on the power a little bit or something like that, but for the most part, I just wanted to start from the back. Okay, that probably wasn't such a good idea as I ended up applying a little too much power early on. And know it's probably going to come back to haunt me, most likely in the run. But yeah, 5 to 6 watts per kilogram for even a minute was pushing me well above my FTP and probably flooding my legs with lactic acid. So it was probably not such a good idea to start from the back just because I ended up pressing just to work my way back up to the front of the group. And sitting in second place is probably generally where I'm not at. I normally would finish around in the 6th to 7th place on these bike rides because a lot of these guys are younger guys and they obviously have a little bit more power and stamina than I do. So probably not such a good idea, but we'll see what happens and how it turns out. Okay, we're not going to watch this whole ride, so I'm going to skip towards the end and get to the finish of this bike ride. Okay, with about a minute and a half to go, I have really been pushing in this race. I've been fighting back and forth with a couple of guys. I got dropped back as far as 8th and then worked my way back up. And these hills are really doing my legs in. I find myself pushing harder than I should be pushing. I probably should have just let some of those guys go because in the long run, this is just going to hurt me on the run. But just my pride and knowing that I don't want guys that I should be beating to beat me to the finish line. Even though that finish line means nothing, it's just time and distance. All the damage I'm doing to my legs is just going to hurt me in the run. It's going to slow me down in the run. And those run distances at this point are probably more valuable to me than these couple of extra meters that I'm getting out of this bike ride. But I'm going to push as hard as I can and get to the finish and see how it all pans out. Okay, so I finished the bike. I finished in 6th place in that race. You can ignore this leaderboard, it means nothing. I'm surprised my name's even on it. Normally it's not. But my legs are on fire. I'm going to struggle on this run. I knew it, but it is what it is at this point. Okay, after some slow walking and some warm up and some stretching, my legs felt a little bit better. It felt like I should be able to go. I'm feeling good right now. That 10-minute transition window does wonders for me going from the bike to the run. That's plenty of time for me to cool down and get everything ready to go. But I'm still a little worried about this run. I'm going to start off slower than I normally would start off. I'm going to run around the 3:45 just to give my legs some time to come into their own. And then I'll try and drop it down to about a 3:30 to see if I can handle that pace. That's where I really want to be running at, is around about 3:30 and trying to build on that towards the end. But I'm still a little worried about this. So let's see how the start of this run goes. I've decided I'm not going to play all of this. I'm going to skip towards the end. But exactly what I thought was going to happen happened. I was able to hold it around about 3:45 for about 2 minutes. Then I tried to drop it down to 3:30, and bam, I got the first cramp right in my right hamstring. I had to slow it down, and as I was slowing it down, I got a cramp in my left hamstring, and I started to feel it in my calves. So I had to back right back down to like a 350 pace to get out of that, or to get past those little cramps, and just hold it at around about 345, which is where I was feeling comfortable at, just to get me to a point to where my legs were warm enough or warmed up enough in the stride that I was doing to allow me to pick up the pace. So I'm just going to skip on towards the end of this run. As you can see, I was able to get back into the pace that I wanted to get into. I was actually able to drop it down to a faster pace. And it took me a little bit of time, but I was able to comfortably get my legs set to the point where it would allow me to run the pace that I wanted to race. With about a minute to go in this run, I was feeling good. Heart rate was a little up there, but not as high as I thought it would be. I thought I would be pushing it into the red, but I never really got my heart rate into the red. And I think that's due to the fact that I was backing off so early with my pace to get my legs up to speed. So that probably benefited me towards the end to get me somewhere comfortable. Um, the distance isn't as far as I wanted it, but I'll take it. And just like that, duathlon race number 3 is done and dusted and in the books. I did fairly well. Actually, I did great. I won the overall for my age group again. Finished well in the overall standings. I'll take those. And I will look forward to next week's race to do it a little better. Thank you for checking out the video, and I will see you with round 4. Until then, have a good one.